Starmer, and much more, believe me. Gene, thank you so much for joining me, sir. How are you, and what have you been up to? It's been a very long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and you've added some upper body bulk, and you're looking good. You got the facial hair going thing, and yeah, I'm doing good as well. Thank you.
Well, that's great. It's really good to hear your voice again. The viewers are going to be very excited to hear you. But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's jump into all the news and media. What is it that you'd like to talk about today? I want to hear what you've got to decode.
Sure. So the first thing, everybody knows about the USAID and the Doge. Also, the Durham Report has come out, and I'll just click through this. This is, I think, Jesse Waters. This is his name on Fox.
It only took 4 years, but the Durham Report is finally dropped. And he found out what everybody already knew. The whole Trump-Russia collusion story was a giant hoax started by Democrats.
Okay, so you got that part. And then we have also, I'll just drag
the FBI knew it was a hoax. Nobody. What else did we find out from Durham? Well, we found out the FBI shut down 2 investigations into the Clintons. 2. First, 3 separate FBI field offices said, wait a second, the Clinton Foundation is a foreign money laundering scam. We should probably look into it. But Andy McCabe, you remember Andy, the guy married to the Clinton donor? He calls everybody in and says, guys, the Clinton Foundation's off limits.
Yeah.
Second thing they shut down.
There we have that one. And then let me drag through here if I can. It's hard to grab this thing. No, my goodness, I guess I have to have a plane to grab it.
Hillary Clinton campaign.
Also, we have Comey.
Also, Comey's people told his people, don't put anything in writing. It's only going to get us in trouble. So the media loves to say, well,
So that is institutionally how we have always operated. But I do not talk to the Attorney General about pending investigations. I do not talk to FBI directors about pending investigations. We have a strict line and always have maintained it. I guarantee that there is no political influence in any investigation conducted by the Justice Department or the FBI, not just in this case, but in any case.
So Barack Obama gets briefed by the CIA director with the FBI director on pending investigations into his political opponents. And then he just tells Fox, no, just lies to Fox. Don't you ever lie to Fox again.
So there's all of that and those lies that came out. And that's all posted on James Placart on X. So there's that information about the Durham Report. I know people are following.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that a little bit before we move on to the next one? Like, break it down for us.
Sure. So the Durham Report was slowed and blocked by the Biden 4-year regime, along with a whole lot of other material that should have come out a long time ago. So in other words, everything that they said that Trump was doing to Russia, the laptop didn't exist, all of that, the laptop did exist, all of that was fictitious. The Durham Report, the Russia, all of that was set up by the Clinton Foundation. It was paid for by USAID, along with the whole USAID has turned out to be a massive money laundering. They said, you have to look back 20 years to find any misappropriation of funds. It's not saying the funds were misappropriated. You have the money trail and the paper trail showing the funds for the USAID through the Doge report of that USAID, United States Agency for International Development. There's UK AID, which is actually just UK aid, that I found out you actually have one too. It's just called UK aid. It's, the money is accounted for, but it's fraudulent in how it's being used. So it's being used in ways that have nothing to do with supporting the taxpayers that are paying into it at the tune of 40, I think it's 40 billion, dollars a year. It might be 40 million. I'm pretty sure it's 40 billion. But anyway, the Durham Report has now come out. They slow walked it, and it turns out the Clinton Foundation is nothing but a giant money laundering machine to attack her political rivals, along with, of course, Obama, as you saw there, Barry Soetoro.
Absolutely. Barry Soetoro. Why do you call Obama Barry Soetoro?
He was not born in the U.S. That's his born name. He is not a born U.S. citizen. By the law of the Constitution, to be a president, you have to be. Bush Bush Sr. was born Scherf. And we have a decode on that on the 911 decode we recently put up on gendecode.org website that, again, makes that an illegal president, because to be a U.S. president, you must be born in the United States, not naturalized, born, which means they are not legally president of the United States, which then means their entire 4-year presidency, any laws they've signed, all of that is null and void when that comes out.
So you're saying that Senior Bush and Barack Obama, which you call Barry Soetoro because that's his original name, and I believe he was born in Kenya, are both illegitimate presidents of the United States because they were not born in the USA.
Exactly correct.
Right. Okay. Do you think that the public will find out about this?
I think they are right now.
They are. I mean, the alternative media definitely is. But do you believe that this is going to go mainstream? Do you think this is going to come out to Fox News, for an example?
Yeah, I think eventually all of this is going to come out. First, they'll deny it, but eventually it'll come out completely.
Interesting. Okay. Very good. Let's move on to the next one.
Absolutely. So to show some of what USAID billions are being used for is to show how ludicrous. I pulled up one specifically to show how ludicrous it gets.
Here's Roy Stewart explaining his connection to USAID.
Stopped. Doesn't matter, you have a contract. So, Turquoise Mountain, which my wife Shoshana runs, has a contract, had another $1 million to go, money just stops.
Well, hold on. Wait, there's a contract between some organization and USAID, and the contract stopped. And hold on, his wife ran that organization, and they were supposed to get another $1 million from the U.S. government, and that just stopped. What organization does his wife run? It's called the Turquoise Mountain Foundation.
And you can see this is actually a repost from TikTok Daily Wires posted on X at Vince Langman.
You can't make this up. The Turquoise Mountain Foundation exists to teach Afghani peasants about degenerate modern art.
So this is in some ways often called the first piece of conception art. Does anyone know what it is? I don't expect the lady to know. Exactly. An artist called Marcel Duchamp, who's very important in Western art, put this toilet in an art gallery about 100 years ago.
That's where your money's going. Your money is going, or was going until Trump got hold of it, to pay off the wives of British politicians turned Yale professors to teach Afghanis who probably have more important things on their mind about how perverse Western anti-artists decided to pretend that urinals and toilets were, Caravaggio paintings in the early 20th century.
Yeah, so you can see the ludicrousness of what USAID is.
Yeah.
This is amongst many.
Just break that down about what they were teaching the Afghans, and just let us know as well, why did you point out who shared this post on X? Why was that important?
To show how ridiculous it gets. For example, there's all kinds of DEI things they're paying for, like a transgender opera, I believe it was, in Guatemala, and their DEI teaching and education in many countries, for example, in Sri Lanka and other places where different DEI programs. So it's, what does that have to do with us teaching using the U.S. tax money, just like UKAID does? It uses UK tax money to pay for things in other countries. If your taxes are going to be used for places all over the world and you don't even know what they are and you don't get a vote in what your tax money is being used for,
It's terrible. I mean, you're saying that I pay my taxes, and if I don't pay my taxes or I lie about my income, I go to prison. But these people are allowed to take our income illegitimately and then squander it on things outside of my country, and they get away with it.
exactly. And so, for example, in the U.S., up until Trump got in, the people that got hit by the hurricane that went up through Florida and up the East Coast into other states were living in tents in the middle of winter, where as soon as Trump got in, they put them in hotel rooms and things like that, while illegals had high-priced hotels through the sanctuary cities, for example, in New York City. And so where do we get to vote in who's being used for what? And American citizens like in Lahaina, which are still not moved back in, their homes are still, they have nothing. And the same thing is going for LA. And then the catastrophe in Ohio with the trade. All of these things, the money could be going to help the citizens of the country, just like in your country. Your taxes are extremely high, but there's a lot of people in your country that don't have the income that it needs to just get by, and they need the help for various situations and tragic, natural disasters.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, people are living from paycheck to paycheck, and they're scraping pennies to get by, whilst we're paying all this tax, and they're printing more money, devaluing, causing inflation, devaluing the dollar. Our salaries don't go up, and they get to traffic children. They do things beyond our imagination. It's just, I mean, it's insane when you really go down the rabbit hole. It's really absurd, isn't it?
Yes, and speaking of how in your country, and it's the same in our country, in the U.S., that many people are having to choose to either have heat at this time of year or to eat, cut back on the heat and have a little bit more to eat, or do without dinner for 2 or 3 days so you can have a little more heat in the house. Which one? Do you want to be warmer, or do you want to have food in your stomach? So, and in the meantime, the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, is reviewing like Social Security and many other items. And now they're looking into reviewing, which has not happened for 50 years, the Fort Knox. And I had talked about this in interviews years ago. And Senator Lewis T. McFadden showed shipping documents from Fort Knox in the order of $100 million a day in gold bullion going from Fort Knox to Swiss bank accounts of Carnegie's, Rockefellers, Dow's, DuPont's, and other organizations, Carnegie Foundation, for example. And then additionally, now that they're talking about inventorying Fort Knox, you can see that there's money, gold bullion. This is from the Independent, that's posted by reposted by Ariel, but they're sending gold bars quickly from the Bank of England vaults. And your country, your people are scraping money together, and you have all this gold that's going back to the Fed in New York City. Is it because the Fort Knox is empty, like Senator Lewis T. McFadden said in the 30s, and they murdered him. He got poisoned for food. He survived the first one, and then he got food poisoning the second time, and that one did kill him. So if it turns out that Fort Knox gold is actually not there, this would impact the U.S. economy massively, even though our gold our money is not gold backed. The economy is based on the fact that there is gold backing it for something somewhere. Well, if that turns out not to be true, that could really be devastating for the U.S. economy.
So where is the gold if it's not there then? Well, there has to be somewhere.
Well, as you saw in that post, in the London bank reserves under the Tower of London.
So will it be confiscated?
Well, it's supposed to be sitting in Fort Knox. It's the U.S. gold reserves. Apparently, if we go by those articles, it's being shipped back from London to New York, which would be, of course, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. So my question would be, did the Federal Reserve, since its creation, which is what Louis D. McFadden showed, shipping gold out of the Fort Knox to various other places where it does not belong? It's the property of the U.S. people, just like your gold reserve for your country would be your property of your people. Supposedly, that's what we've been told.
So now that we have Trump and Elon working on Doge, USAID, etc., what do you foresee happening if they were to put it all to restore everything back to the way it should be?
It would mean immediately that the taxes that are taken in would be used for the country, and you reduce the bureaucracy. And when Trump was running, they spoke, their 4 a.m. talking points across all the legacy media were hitting how voting for Trump was a vote for the end of the U.S. bureaucracy. And it's to reduce the cost of that bureaucracy and the massive red tape to get through to do anything for a business. Uprising businesses need loans, all of these. They need land, they need development money, they need development areas for land and things, and the red tape and things for startup companies was prohibitive. And then, of course, the taxation is massive. So it means that people would have not the necessity of paying in the amount. They could reduce taxes, or even, as Trump is currently saying, possibly removing the IRS completely and putting us back the way we started, which was a tariff situation. And of course, the Democrats and other groups within the country are screaming because they're saying it's the end of the democracy and all of that, and it's the bureaucracy is going to fall. Like in this piece here, you can see where they're talking about the. You can hear the talking point over and over. I'll just play it. It speaks for itself.
Sure.
It might be the end of American bureaucracy. Our bureaucracy really is in fundamental peril.
The foundations of American bureaucracy under attack. They want to destroy our bureaucracy.
We are a bureaucracy in danger. We're watching an election where people are on the ballot openly advocating the end of bureaucracy. That's what Republicans are doing, attacking bureaucracy, attempting to destroy bureaucracy, and they're doing it with glee.
This is the end of bureaucracy in America.
When will America stop sleepwalking towards the end of bureaucracy?
Right. It's Democrats versus, as Bill Kristol says, the end of bureaucracy.
We are essentially, as Neil put it, one vote away from sort of the end of bureaucracy as we know it.
I think our bureaucracy and the stability of that bureaucracy is really the thing on the ballot that is really so important.
And for me, it's just mind-blowing when you can tune to news, mainstream legacy media, and all you hear is the same unusual way of speaking. It's obviously a talking point. And they obviously, before Trump was in, knew that he would, start the Doge and start going through line by line, like go through the Pentagon, go through the Social Security Administration. And now they're finding out in the Social Security Administration that a massive amount of dollars are missing from the U.S.,
Yeah. From the taxpayers' money.
3,000 people have the same Social Security number. There are people that are 300 plus years old still paying Social Security. It's insane.
Very insane. Yep, that was definitely insane. But it's funny how the mainstream media can get away with saying, this is the end of bureaucracy. This is a threat to bureaucracy. Shouldn't we be more afraid of the threat to democracy? We want to live in a democracy.
Exactly. Constitutional republic in the case of the United States. And so, it is really interesting to me that if you look at all of these, quote, conspiracy theories, I pulled this up, it's on CKM 114, because which of these conspiracy theories have turned out to be true? And this is a little item where Trump is being Elon is being interviewed.
Conspiracy theories are turned out to be true.
Which ones? The Trump-Russia witch hunt, Jeffrey Epstein, JFK assassination, the misuse of the Patriot Act, the Iraq War, the weapons of mass destruction, the war in Ukraine, the bombing of the Nord Stream pipeline, the open border migration caravans, the climate change scam, chemtrails, and HAARP, and 9/11 being an inside job, and the Internet of Things surveillance grid, and PFAs, and chemicals in the water turning everyone gay, and the 2020 election being stolen, and January 6th being filled with undercover feds, and Bill diverting working means growth and global government, not to mention gain-of-function research and the threat of China, and collapsing birth rates, and defund the police, and George Soros, and mail-in ballots, and big tech censorship, and disinformation agencies, and Obama's birth certificate, and probably some others I can't think of. I mean, so a few of them. I guess
A few of them.
That's a good video, that one, that you shared. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is, it's being uncovered about the truth about everything going on. And
Absolutely. Some people are saying, when I tell people, Elon Musk has uncovered X amount of dollars that have been money laundered, through USAID. And now he's saying, look, I think every American citizen should receive $5,000. But then when I say that to people, they say to me, $5,000, it should be a lot more than that. And I say to them, well, eventually it will be. They're going to cut the IRS. They're going to do this. They're going to cut back that. They might give you more compensations. They might get rid of property taxes. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, already there's a new tax break for people that are in Social Security age drawing money, a tax deduction. Yeah, it's, I think, close to $1,000 or something tax deduction. I'm not sure the exact amount yet. I have to look into that. But additionally, they're saying for Social Security entirely not to have to pay income tax on Social Security, which is, something for me that's huge. Having to live off of Social Security and my retirement benefits. So when I first retired, I couldn't do it. I had to still work. I had to go back to work because when I retired from the Navy, I couldn't make enough off of my retirement. And then when Social Security kicked in, it barely gets by. It's like you said, you rub pennies together to be able to get by from month to month.
Absolutely. Well, Gene, thank you very much for sharing everything with us today. I really appreciate your time, and it's definitely great to hear your voice again after such a long time. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Yeah, I'd like to just go ahead into some things since you're in the UK. This is from the Telegraph, and you can just read here, Starmer's ready to put British troops in Ukraine.
Right.
And then I find that incredibly ridiculous. And then reading on more about that Keir Starmer potentially putting Britain in harm's way is a huge responsibility, but you must be, whether it's your country must be ready to do your bit for Europe as a whole. So
well, we're not part of Europe. He seems to forget that. We had Brexit thanks to Nigel Farage, who's the Brexit leader, who is massively supported by Donald Trump, who also believes that Nigel Farage is, winning the popular vote for UK reform in the United Kingdom. So I do have good, I have a good vision for Nigel Farage.
Yeah, and then. Yeah, I agree. And, that Brexit that Nigel Farage led, I think he would make your best prime minister ever. He should be the prime minister.
I agree.
So, it's coming out the truth. This is Lavov at the recent conference that just, and they're now talking in Saudis with President Putin, President Trump, and the truth is coming out.
Каждый должен отвечать за свои поступки. И когда кто-то долгие годы творит беззаконие, нарушает свои собственные продекларированные когда-то правила равноправия, честной конкуренции, презумпции невиновности, неприкосновенности собственности, свободы выражения мнений, обеспечения свободы доступа к информации, когда все это растаптывается без зазрения совести, когда грабится чужое, нарушение всех норм международного права, когда поощряется нацистский режим, и когда такой нацистский режим накачивается вооружениями для того, чтобы убивать своих собственных граждан, и это все делается в расчете на то, что как-нибудь проскочим и отсидимся под ядерным зонтиком, так уже не будет. И за свои деяния надо отвечать.
And you can see that's on Lord People, which is a really great site to follow. It does a lot of good reposting of things like that with
That's great. Well, Gene, thank you very, very much. It's been an absolute honor. And we'll speak again very soon. Excellent information. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you, Nicholas. Honored being back. Nice to see you.
I'll see you. Yeah, I'll
looking
see
good.
you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll see you again. Love to have you back.
Thank you. God bless. God bless.
Bye-bye.